Welcome to I Am Unveiled, where we decode the deeper meaning behind Scripture by returning to the original manuscripts and root words. You're invited to read along in your Bible and take notes, or simply listen and let the living Word move through you. This isn't about memorizing verses. It's about remembering what's always been true. Suppressed truths, hidden in plain sight, are waiting to be seen, because every name, every event, every place in Scripture mirrors something unfolding inside you. So stay present, let the symbols speak, let the breath slow, and let the living Word awaken where it's always been, within. You can tell when a shift is happening in you, and it's not because everything gets easier right away, but because you start paying attention to the small things you used to overlook, the little thoughts, the quiet reactions, the details no one else sees. That's where this part of the journey lives. In these chapters, the people aren't just being told what's right and wrong, they're being shown how every choice, every rhythm, every agreement is tied to the presence they carry. It moves from how you treat others, to how you keep time, to how you respond when the call comes to step closer. And then comes the moment you have to say yes, with your whole self, not halfway, not maybe later, but right now, fully in. This isn't just about following rules. It's about building a life that can hold what you've been asking for. Chapter 22.
If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun has risen upon him, there shall be blood guilt for him. He shall make restitution. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the stolen beast is found alive in his possession, whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall pay double. If a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose, and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns, so that the stacked grain or the standing grain or the field is consumed, he that kindled the fire shall make full restitution. If a man delivers to his neighbor money or goods to keep, and they are stolen from the man's house, then if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house shall come near to God to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's goods. For every breach of trust, whether it is for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for clothing, or for any kind of lost thing, of which one says, "This is it," the cause of both parties shall come before God. He whom God shall condemn shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man delivers to his neighbor a donkey, or an ox, or a sheep, or any beast to keep, and it dies or is hurt, or is driven away, without anyone seeing it, an oath by the Lord shall be between them both, to see whether he has not put his hand to his neighbor's property. And the owner shall accept oath, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to its owner. If it is torn by beasts, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn. If a man borrows anything of his neighbor and it is hurt or dies, the owner not being with it, he shall make full restitution. If the owner was with it, he shall not make restitution. If it was hired, it came for its hire. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall give the marriage present for her and make her his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equivalent to the marriage present for virgins. You shall not permit a sorceress to live. Whoever lies with a beast shall be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god, save to the Lord only, shall be utterly destroyed. You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You shall not afflict any widow or orphan. If you do afflict them, and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword. And your wives shall become widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any of my people with you who is poor, you shall not be to him as a creditor, and you shall not exact interest from him. If ever you take your neighbor's garment in pledge, you shall restore it to him before the sun goes down. For that is his only covering. It is his mantle for his body. In what else shall he sleep? And if he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. You shall not revile God, nor curse a ruler of your people. You shall not delay to offer from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. You shall do likewise with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with its dam. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. You shall be men consecrated to me. Therefore you shall not eat any flesh that is torn by beasts in the field. You shall cast it to the dogs.
This chapter reads like a long list of do's and don'ts, but internally it's a blueprint for how you handle your own energy, relationships, and responsibilities. Verses 1 to 4. If you steal, take from a state you haven't earned internally, you have to pay it back with interest. That's life showing you that shortcuts cost more in the end. The ox and sheep aren't random. The ox represents work and sustained effort. The sheep represents innocence and trust. Misuse either, and you'll feel the weight of imbalance. Verses 5 to 6. Letting your beast loose into someone else's field is like letting your frustration or envy spill into someone else's life. You still own the mess you make. Same with the fire. If your words or actions spark damage, it's on you to make it right. Verses 7 to 15. This is about trust and stewardship. Anything someone places in your hands, whether it's their secrets, resources, or even their faith in you, is a sacred charge. Lose it through negligence, and restoration is owed. Verses 16 to 17. Seduction here isn't only sexual. It's when you pull someone, or some part of yourself, into a promise you're not willing to honor. Spiritually, it's about not making commitments you won't stand by. Verses 18 to 20. Sorcery, bestiality, and false worship sound extreme. But in Neville's lens, they're symbolic of mixing your creative power with distorted intentions. Bowing to a state that isn't your true I am. Verses 21 to 27. Strangers, widows, orphans. These are the vulnerable states in you and in others. How you treat them is how you treat the presence of God in disguise. If you take what someone needs to survive, even their garment, you're not just taking fabric, you're stripping dignity. Verses 28 to 31. Reviling God or rulers is really about resisting the higher order you agreed to live by. The first fruits principle? That's giving your best attention to the state you've chosen before feeding anything else. And consecrated men means you live set apart inwardly, not mixing the pure with the torn or corrupted. Chapter 23.
You shall not utter a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. You shall not follow a multitude to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a suit, turning aside after a multitude so as to pervert justice. Nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his suit. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall help him to lift it up. You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in his suit. Keep far from a false charge, and do not slay the innocent and righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. And you shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the officials and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. You shall not oppress a stranger. You know the heart of a stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. But the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the wild beasts may eat. You shall do likewise with your vineyard and with your olive orchard. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, that your ox and your donkey may have rest, and the son of your bondmaid, and the alien may be refreshed. Take heed to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on your lips.
Truth-telling starts inside. A false report is the story you repeat in your head that bends reality away from your I am. The moment you agree with it, you've joined hands with a wicked witness. Not a villain out there, but the voice in you that profits from distortion. Crowds make that voice louder. Groupthink feels safe. Integrity rarely does. Freedom means you stop outsourcing your discernment to consensus. Justice here is surgical. Don't lean toward the powerful. Don't lean toward the poor. Lean toward what's true. Compassion without clarity turns sloppy. Clarity without compassion turns cold. The text keeps pulling you back to balance. The enemy's donkey is everyday life preaching. When you see even your hater crushed under a load, you help lift it. That isn't about being nice. It's training. You're practicing sovereignty, acting from identity, not from injury. Returning what went astray, even when it isn't yours, teaches your nervous system that you live from abundance, not scorekeeping. Sabbath and sabbatical year are not quaint rules, they're oxygen. Work 6, release on the 7th. Let the land breathe. Let the poor glean. Let even your animals reset. If you never stop, you confuse adrenaline with aliveness. The field that never rests grows tired crops and bitter people. Make no mention of other gods, reads like theology. It's really attention hygiene. Don't keep speaking the names of states that aren't you. Every time you narrate lack, fear, or borrowed identity, you're giving it press. Silence is a boundary too. This whole section is a rhythm. Protect the witness in you. Practice inconvenient mercy. Refuse inner bribes, and schedule your rest like a covenant. Do that, and your outer life starts matching an inner order that can actually hold blessing.
3 times in the year you shall keep a feast to me. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. As I commanded you, you shall eat unleavened bread 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty. You shall keep the feast of harvest, of the first fruits of your labor, of what you sow in the field. You shall keep the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in from the field the fruit of your labor. 3 times in the year shall all your males appear before the Lord God. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, nor shall the fat of my feast remain until the morning. The best of the first fruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk.
These feasts aren't about God needing parties. They're about you remembering your story on purpose. Unleavened bread, strip out the fluff, the puff, the quick rise illusions, because you're coming out of Egypt, that state of bondage where you let life overcomplicate you. This is a reset meal. No yeast, no delay, just you and what's real. The Feast of Harvest is about honoring the first results of your work. It's a statement to yourself. I trust the rest will come. That's why you give the first, not the leftovers. The Feast of Ingathering is closure, a yearly audit of your life where you bring in all that's grown, all that's ripened, and acknowledge who you became in the process. Don't appear empty isn't about God wanting stuff. It's about not showing up in life empty-handed when you've been carrying blessings all year. Even if all you have is a change in your thinking, bring that. No leaven with the blood. Don't mix corruption with your life source. Don't let the fat, the richest part, sit overnight, getting stale. Use the best when it's fresh. And that odd-sounding line about not boiling a young goat in its mother's milk? That's a symbolic boundary. Don't cook life in the very thing meant to nurture it. Don't turn what's supposed to give life into the means of its end. At their core, these commands are rhythms. They pull you into gratitude, remind you to strip out excess, and keep your offerings, whether of time, love, or resources, alive and clean.
Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place which I have prepared. Give heed to him and listen to his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression. For my name is in him. If you listen attentively to his voice and do all that I say, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. When my angel goes before you and brings you to the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I blot them out, you shall not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but you shall utterly overthrow them and break their pillars in pieces. You shall serve the Lord your God, and I will bless your bread and your water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of you. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days. I will send my terror before you, and will throw into confusion all the people against whom you shall come. And I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I will send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites from before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the wild beasts multiply against you. Little by little, I will drive them out from before you, until you are increased and possess the land. And I will set your border from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. You shall make no covenant with them or with their gods. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you.
This is God telling you, I'm sending your future self ahead of you. That angel isn't a winged being you'll meet on the road. It's the version of you that already lives in the place you're heading toward. That's why you're told to listen to his voice. It's the inner guidance that doesn't flatter your excuses. It carries the name, the nature of God. Every enemy here, Amorites, Hittites, Canaanites, is a state of mind, a habit, a fear that occupies your inner territory. You can't serve their gods, meaning you can't live by the values of fear, greed, or survival, and still step into what's been prepared for you. Overthrow their pillars. Dismantle the beliefs that keep you bowed to them. The blessings, bread, water, health, fertility, full lifespan, aren't bribes. They're the natural state when you're aligned with the voice within and not distracted by counterfeit gods. God says he'll send terror and hornets ahead. In modern terms, this is the discomfort, the inner agitation that pushes out what doesn't belong in your new life. But notice the pacing. It's little by little. If everything in you that's false was removed all at once, the empty space would get filled by something worse. Growth has to match your capacity to hold it. The borders, Red Sea to Euphrates, are the boundaries of your new life. Inside them, no room for compromise, no covenants with old thinking, no space for what undermines you. Let it live there, and it becomes a snare. And snares don't announce themselves. They catch you quietly while you're walking. Chapter 24.
Then he said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship afar off. Moses alone shall come near to the Lord, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him." Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the ordinances, and all the people answered with one voice and said, "All the words which the Lord has spoken, we will do." And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord. He rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the people of Israel, who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. And Moses took the blood and threw it upon the people, and said, Behold the blood of the covenant, which the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words. Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. And he did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God and ate and drank.
This scene is like the moment you finally stop debating your own potential and just say, yeah, I'm all in. The people hear the truth laid out and respond in unity. No arguing, no overthinking. That's the point when your inner world stops negotiating with doubt. The altar and the 12 pillars? That's you setting a foundation in every part of yourself, mind, emotions, habits, relationships, to align with your higher self. The blood being split between altar and people is powerful. Half seals the commitment in the realm of consciousness, the other half seals it in your lived reality. It's not just belief in your head, it's embodied agreement. You don't just think change. You move, speak, and act as if it's already locked in. Then there's that sapphire pavement under God's feet. Clarity, purity, unshakable beauty. It's what your awareness stands on when you're anchored in truth. Notice they ate and drank in that presence. No fear, no separation. That's integration. Your higher self isn't just a voice you consult. It becomes the environment you live in, breathe in, and enjoy.
The Lord said to Moses, Come up to me on the mountain and wait there, and I will give you the tables of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction. So Moses rose with his servant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God. And he said to the elders, Wait here for us until we come to you again. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a cause, let him go to them. Then Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day, he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. And Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights.
This is that pull you feel when you know it's time to step away from the noise and level up. God doesn't just say, come up. He says, wait there. That's the hardest part. You want the revelation now, the breakthrough now, but the higher call always includes a pause before the download. Joshua walks with Moses partway, but can't go the whole distance. Some people in your life will be with you up to a point, but the deepest transformation happens alone. You leave the crowd in trusted hands, Aaron and Hur, knowing they'll manage what's already in motion while you go to handle what's eternal. The cloud is presence without full visibility. You're in it, but you can't see everything yet. 6 days pass before God speaks again, showing that not every moment in his presence comes with a clear word. Sometimes the waiting is the word. The fire at the mountain's top is how others see your process. Intense, consuming, even dangerous. But inside the cloud, that's intimacy. Moses steps fully into it, disappearing from view, staying for 40 days and nights, long enough for old thought patterns to break and a whole new operating system to install. This arc walks you through the raw terms of inner alignment, not just the do's and don'ts, but the deep reordering of how you move through life. It's about owning your impact, protecting your space, and walking with the kind of presence that doesn't have to prove itself. You see God's covenant not as a distant contract, but as an ongoing agreement between who you are now and who you're becoming. And you start to realize every restoration, every act of justice, every moment you choose truth over compromise is you stepping further into that agreement. Thank you for watching. If something stirred in you, sit with it. Don't rush to explain it. Let it unfold. This journey isn't about gathering more knowledge. It's about becoming still enough to recognize what's always been yours. We'll keep walking the scriptures together, one chapter at a time, one layer at a time, until the veil lifts and only I am remains. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Share this with someone whose spirit is ready to remember, and drop a comment if there's a book you'd like us to decode next. Until next time, this is I Am Unveiled.